Right, welcome back to wherever it was that I got to. Actually, where did I get to? I missed a whole load out last week because I was under a lot of time pressure. So getting the sunroof fabric changed was basically quite an urgent thing. And I think the last thing I did was show that I disconnected the motor or I was going to disconnect the motor or whatever. So where am I at? Well, I have new sunroof fabric. Annoyingly, I managed to get a grubby finger on it. The inside of the cassette is quite dirty, but that should clean up a little bit. I could give that a rub. The other annoying thing, like, massively annoying, is I can't get it to line up. And that's what the purpose of today's going to be. Oh, excuse me. What I'm going to do is retract the sunroof a bit, use the motor to do that, free it off, take the lid off, and then you get access to the mounts. I know how to take the lid off. I mean, I've dismantled the whole thing. I took it into the house. I'd have been, fortunately, I had the sort of house to myself really, because it made a right old mess. Also, I do replace the boot seal because that was actually getting quite gnarly. I detected some rust there. The paint on the boot isn't great, to be honest. I mean, majority of the car's all right. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's watertight. I mean, you know, the gap's not too bad that side, but the whole tray is manoeuvrable to an extent on its mounts. There's only me working on it today as well, so but it shouldn't be difficult because it's just held up with these bolts here, and you can actually sort of lift it and move it. I don't know if you can see it, just about move. So it is manoeuvrable. I can move it around. So yeah, all that hard work just to change this, but that's my aim for today. I might, if I'm lucky, even get the damn thing back together again. Of course, the other thing that I found, you know, decided moving the sunroof in and out using the motor, was the car didn't really want to start very well. And after inspection, I've got a bad spark plug. Sparks though are a few years old, so I've got something on order. Yeah, right, so let's think what I've got to do first. I need to retract the sunroof. So the sunroof is going to be held on with these screws, the fabric, and it holds the lid on. The method I use to glue it on, I use paper clips basically, just to hold it in place while I was gluing at the edges, which, you know, is, well, you're not going to really go looking at that, are you? So I'm okay with that. You know, just to all intents and purposes, it looks pretty good. So I'm going to take those screws out, and that should then well, freeze up the front of the lid, and it's just held on with clips at the back, so it should sort of maneuver out, one would hope, without having to drop the whole thing. It's only by myself, I don't want to have to drop it. All right, so the lid's free, but it's got these clips at the back. I don't think we can see that far down there, it won't focus, but they're just sort of snapped on. But I don't really want to go pulling it because there's a seal at the back, it sort of sits on the lip of the lid, and if that rips, then, you know, it's kind of like game over a little bit for the sunroof. So I'm gonna have to drop it, which will involve undoing the motor at this end. I've left the motor free, there it is, I undid it, so now we'll need to free it off, and then I could drop the whole assembly down because there might be enough give in the wires to lower it to get access. I'll have to figure out how I'm going to put it back up again afterwards. It's quite straightforward releasing these, as it turns out. It's not too easy to do with one hand, but you just undo the plate, let's do that side as well. Might just It's under a bit of tension because the springiness of the components inside. So I'm going to be glad when this is all sorted. There's the nut. Here's the washer that goes with it. Like that. Taking the power off, by the way. Taking an opportunity to charge the battery as well. Can put this to be somewhere safe. I've just managed to drop it. Where did that just go? Well, plate comes off. And these detach. You can see it's a worm gear. Goes on there. It's quite nice. It drives things forward, and that's why this is therefore hollow, because the gear goes into the other end of this, which is, you know, good. Right, that's free. So these are free. Now, where did that nut go? The drain plugs or the drain hoses come off really easily. Don't want those to move around too much. So you can see there's the you know, the cable, and everything just turns inside. It's quite clever design, really. So one thing we managed to do, probably because we were reassembling it back in the dark, although it didn't fit the first time, and the courtesy light wiring has got caught in the mechanism, so that's not a great start. We're taking these bolts off. I am going to have to drop the unit anyway to get it things, so then it's going to come and I'll have to rest it on the headrests. Actually, by removing one side of the bolts, so the middle bolt has been moved, so there's a middle bolt there, and there's another one about here. Actually, I can gain access to the clips, so I should be able to free the lid off without dropping the whole assembly. And if I do it back up on this side and then undo the other side, I'll be able to free off the other side. We have one nice shiny sunroof lid. Yeah, so actually, undoing the middle two and this side, drop things down sufficiently that I could just get at the clip. Let me show you the. So it's there, this thing. It's a clip that just snaps onto it. Where's it gone? It's in there. This should freely move now. Anyway, it snaps on in place. And so by dropping the other side and holding it in place, I could undo the other side, the other end of the clip, and whilst holding the tray, and then once it was free, do that side back up, because this side had dropped. These are push this down and actually withdraw from underneath the, from underneath. Because trying to get it through this aperture, I've been told you've got to be really careful because you could catch your lid on all sorts of things and scratch it. So good, right. Well, as you can see, this is how it's held in place. So we've got these here. Now, I never fathomed how you actually release it from the tracks itself. It seems to be, I mean, it's easy, you can move it, you can release it from the tracks, but the difficulty was actually getting it freed, well, not freed off the back, because these came off as well, so it could move left and right, up and down, all sorts of things, but can never actually get the cassette fully removed. But yeah, I think I did an all right job in gluing it in place. It's kind of okay. Maybe I need to glue that bit back in, or maybe I might touch these in, or whatever. But, no one's going to see that. And this is my first go at doing something like this, isn't it? So the other thing I might do while I'm here, actually, and you'll see this from this side, there's a blob of rust, so I might get some rust killer on that, I think. Okay, progress is being made. Good. So thinking, what am I trying to achieve here? You can see here, there's no daylight. If I go to the other side, we can see daylight. So this side of the this side of the lid needs to be moved further forward. So let's see how we can go about doing that. I think it will be a case of undoing these, loosening it up, see if I can get some purchase on it to move it forward and maneuver it manually. Let's see how that goes. So it's still a slither of light at that end. I suppose we're starting to get a little bit of light there. I think manoeuvring it one way has done that. I thought I'd see what sort of play we have in these, but even if freeing these up, there's no more movement. So I'm thinking, what controls the movement? Because this is like how it's attaching. That's attaching it to the runner. So how do I get a little bit more movement in the runner? I don't know if those bolts that's holding it on has anything to do with it. This is glued in place. I don't know whether it should be glued in place, but on the other side it moves, it snaps off, but this is clearly cracked, so that's been glued on. Anyway, I'm going to put this back together again. There's no, I mean, you can see there's play of movement, and although it's held in place with these little dudes, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, actually, put those on first. And that, I suppose, there's a bit of a spring action. No, that's wrong. Oh, then that. Oh, that seal. It's not very good. I'm not very good at this camera stuff, am I? Hang on, I put them that way around because that's where they were. And that back on. And screws. But that's not affording us any more forwards movement. It's loose on the other side. Right, what else might I be able to adjust? So finger tight. Okay, so what I've figured, like these and these give us lateral movement in and out. So I can move the tray in and out that way. It's not going to free anything up going forwards and backwards, but what I remember is that with the cables undone, it will move freely one side or the other. So what I did was I pulled that side back to try and get this side forwards, and that's fine. Gotta be careful that these don't pop off. So that's how it's held on to the cables. And I think that, well, because I did it all back up again, and that gap just went back to being huge. But I think it's relatively even on both sides. I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking like, is this what I should be chasing? Sealing that gap there? I mean, the lid goes on after that. But I'm thinking, well, if that's as close forward as it's going to get, if I do that up now, I think I might do a test and then have some lunch. So I decided to investigate this part here. It feels to me like I need to get a little bit more movement out of the wire, out of the worm screw, but I can't anyway. It turns out that these screws here end at the movement of this piece in and out. If you were to remove it, there's just a piece of metal underneath, and it just moves this. I assume that's a stopper or something. I don't know what that's there for. So I'll do that back up. That's not actually made any difference to anything. Right, test fit, and if anything, it's worse than it was, because definitely going to escape the seal. Oh, it's a damn nightmare, this. how do you get these things to advance forward? I mean, it was tighter on that side before than it was on this side. Oh, man. Unless the lid would move backwards a bit, I suppose. It's on the clips, definitely on the clips. I've dropped it and had a look. I've only got one screw in just to hold it in place. But, I mean, oh, gotta start the engine. I mean, have a look at, I mean, we've got that there. It's got to drive forward into, I suppose if I did that tighter, that would give me a bit more space, because that is going to be butting up against that. So okay, well there's a thought, isn't it? We want those flush. I mean, if that was more flush, that might be better. Seals on. All right, let's try doing, well, let's try removing that. It's held on with the clips at the back. Let's see what happens. All right, two new discoveries. Plastic piece lifts the roof in its final closing state, and the lid can move in and out. So it's got the clips at the back, it's got the screws at the front, so it must be the action of the screws at the front that determine where it sits, because I am freeing it all off and then moving this forward. It's got some play in it to then close, and I got a really nice close on it at one point. So it's on the clips, that is for certain. So I dropped it again momentarily to get it on, and it's got to be to do with the screws at the front then, and how far forward it then fits to get over there. So it's the distance between the cloth and the metal. So I reckon if you did screws up, maybe do the screws up whilst pulling on this to get a good, you know, to pull it as far forward as it will go, and then you get a good seal at this end. All right, massive improvement being made. Still got all this rust keeps appearing from somewhere. I wonder where, I wonder if it's like the rubbing on the side here, because this is set maybe to the left or to the right now, or something. When I press, there's that rust patch I need to just deal with. Doing the screws in much more tightly, like as tight as they possibly can go, has made a bit of a difference. So it is that little bit closer. So what do I need to do? I need to glue this back on. That's annoying that it is broken. It's what is it? It does the lift. It lifts the as the lid's sliding in, it then pushes it upwards. So if it's not on there, you end up with a sagged lift. And I guess that then these adjust it so you can alter the angle of the lid. So I think we're in a pretty good place now. I think I might leave the battery on, get it charging again, glue this, and then tend to the rust. No, you are not watching Nitro Sylvia. This is Steve's Rover. I have some Hydrate 80, which yes, you know, Nitro swears by. I'm going to dab some of this on the rust. There's a little cup. I'm going to put a little bit on that. I've never used this stuff before, but I'm going to see what it's like in real life. I've obviously seen many videos in its application. Well, I mean, the car in May, I've got a body shop booked. I mean, you would try to get, well, I don't know. There's classic car body shops, but nobody seems to want to take a Rover SD1. So I've had this booking for just over a year, and so this is just to see me through until I can get things done for real. It's not the most agreeable of repairs. Still a bit springy. What I think I'm going to do, I mean, it's kind of in one piece now. What I'm going to do is glue that on. I might come to regret this in the future, but I might glue that in place and then pinch it with this so it gets a good tight grip, because the last thing we want is that to come off when the sunroof is retracting, because in that case I'll end up with losing it and then the sunroof won't go up. In fact, it'll stop, it'll block it, so don't want that at all. So I'm going to glue that. Alright, so tight on this side, that will tighten up when it's screwed up tight. Tight on this side as well. That's not too bad. I think I'm going to take this. That's a win. Right, going to get everything screwed up. Right, sunroof's on, in place, all knit up underneath. Drains are on. I've emptied the boot, so now, and I put the clips on, so now it's time to put this back onto its bracket, mount it. You can see the ground here, which is quite interesting. There's a retaining bolt on the bottom. I'll put some rust kit on the underside, because, yeah, it's an exposed bit with the boot. So that's the next thing to do, start to reassemble. Okay, so these three went on pretty easily, because that holds the motor to the, I don't know, bracket. These are rather more difficult, because there is, that's not the right fitting for it. Is that even going to fit? Yeah. But it's well, there's a bracket on underneath, which is there. See that? So hopefully I've got that to catch as I do it up now. It's going to draw the bottom from the underside. And finally, there's these two here. They're going to these two clips here, and the motor's on. I'll tuck that out of the way. And you can put the box on. I think that's the right order. I mean, this must go on first, and then I can put the carpet in, of which there are multiple carpets. Now, I've noticed that has gone as well. You know what I'm looking at, do you? That one went ages ago. Well, I don't know where that was, whether it was even on the car. So that's a little bit problematic, potentially. Can I get a ratchet in there? I wonder, because that is painfully slow. Done. All these. Okay, so I'll put these ones in. This one is still drawing itself up. This side might be done. I'll tell you what, it's been a lot of work. Oh, right, how's that on the underside? Yeah, bracket is tight. Oh, good. Those all to cock. I suppose it matters too much where it goes. I don't want it. That's the upper one. So I want that nicely there. That should be alright. That should be alright. I could do it. I'm sure there was two of these pink things for that side. All right. Oh no, that's still going. So I wouldn't mind having that metal clamped properly. Okay, cool. Right. So I think the next step is to put the plastic cover on. Alright, I'm starting to lose light. So I forgot what order these things have to go in. Carpets first. Once you know. Then that. Then I'm going to put these lens covers on. Lens covers, whatever they're called, I don't know. Once you get the these are really useful for getting the trim plugs out. It would appear that I've got more of them somewhere. I don't know where the holes are for them, but I don't know, maybe it's those. Hold it in place. What would go in there then? Oh, that's way too big. I don't know. Anyway, oh, it's the wing nuts. Is it the wing nut? No, because that goes. What's going up there? What's that for then? It must be something, because there's a mount. I'm sure I'll find out one day. So, on go the light covers. Right, God, that took ages. So, wheels in, which is lovely. These are in. I found some sort of weird metal slidey strip thing, which I think might be to help tidy the wires, but there's no such thing on the other side. But you can't really see the wires there. Yeah, of course this popped out, so I had to sort that out. Notice I'm missing a screw there. God knows why, this car's always missing bits. So maybe I'll have to buy some screws. Anyway, it's starting to get really dark. In fact, I haven't put the light on yet. Right, I'm going to load the boot. I mean, I'm on the home stretch now, really, which is really good. And then next time there'll be the headlining to trim and put in place. Right, it's properly dark now, even though, bizarrely, looking at it through the phone, doesn't feel so dark. So next week, so I won't be able to get on with this now until next weekend, but I do have half term off, so I'm going to make progress with a few things. Engine's going to need a service, and these wires are going to need taping up so they're out of the way. I'm going to clean the blobs they've made on this, fit the headlining. In retrospect, maybe this could be a little bit higher perhaps. As you approach the car, you know, you can see it's dipped at the front, but you know, I'm an amateur. It's good enough for me. Oh, I can always fiddle around with it. So the next thing I was thinking about was actually these. And how does it do this phone? It hasn't got the light on, it's amazing. Anyway, the next thing I was thinking about was these. I wonder where the grab handles would go. Whether I could fashion a bracket to put grab handles on. I guess this car wasn't supposed to have them. In fact, my research suggested it should have had coat hooks instead. But it'd be nice if I could put grab handles on. But it also depends on where, in relation to the headlining, do these line up. So I might do a test fit at some point. Oh God, it's leaning back. It's gonna, oh God, it's a good ab workout. And then, you know, there's another one there, but I don't know, is that where the grab handle would normally reside? Could I fashion I mean, like, could I get something through there, for example? To hold it, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I wonder if I did something through there, made a mount, and then if you pulled on it, it'd be putting on whatever's been threaded through there. That'd be an interesting little project. You know, I've got next weekend, I've got a week to do all this stuff. You know, it could be the Rover week, and then in May, like I say, I've got the body shop lined up. And actually, I'm not feeling too bad about the rust. Not loads of it. There's an MOT to come as well. But, you know, had the gearbox oil done because I lost reverse. I don't know if I told you this. I lost reverse, but an oil change and a filter change, and then I had to take it somewhere to get the bands tightened. Gearbox was sweet. It was absolutely fine. Anyway, that's enough for today. I'm knackered and I've got pizzas to make. Ta-ra! Actually, how did the evening turn out? Look, there's the pizza that I made. Proper, actual pizza. And look, it's nitro. So I'm going to watch him put some holes in a wing whilst I have my pizza and have a Guinness. Ta-ra.